In this video, we're just going to review what we talked about so far in this module. So the first thing we're doing is rewriting each polynomial in standard form. So standard form is highest to lowest degree. You're looking at each term's variable part. Then we're classifying by term and degree. So first, let's put it in standard form. So this has a degree of 0. There's no variable factors. 2 variable factors, 1 variable factor, 5 variable factors. So we're going to go the largest degree to the smallest degree, making sure you take the sign of the term with you. Okay, once it's there, we're going to classify by term and degree. So this degree, only worry about this first term here. So this term has a 5th degree, which we call quintic, because it's 5th degree, and then it has 1, 2, 3, 4. So we don't have any special names for anything above 3. So we're just going to call it a polynomial. You could say it's a quintic polynomial with 4 terms, if you wanted to be a little more specific. Okay, second one here, we have a degree of 0, a degree of 3. So we're going to put that 3rd degree out front. Then our 0 degree. So 3rd degree is cubic. And then we have 1, 2 terms. So it's a cubic binomial. Okay, adding and subtracting, we're just keeping in mind we can only combine like terms when we're adding and subtracting. So we can only put x squareds with x squareds, x's with x's, y's with y's, just those like terms. So when you're adding, these parentheses aren't really doing anything. It's just separating to show that you're adding this trinomial to this trinomial. Once you've identified that, you can drop these parentheses and find your like terms. So if we're looking for our like terms here, I can say, ooh, I'm looking just the variable part. I have these 5 of these x squareds. I'm adding 3 x squareds. Those are like terms. I have negative 4 x's, and I'm subtracting 3 more x's. I have 2 and subtracting 5. And then we're just combining those like terms. So 5x squared plus 3x squared, I have 5 of them, I'm adding 3 more. We have a total of 8. There's still x squareds. Negative 4 minus 3, we're getting more negative. That's negative 7x. 2 minus 5, opposite signs subtract. So 5 minus 2 is 3. We have more negatives than positives. So we end up here with this beautiful quadratic 1, 2, 3 trinomial. Okay, subtraction, we have to be a little bit more careful because this subtraction sign here means I am doing all of that subtracting. So before you drop those parentheses, distribute that negative, and we get 8x cubed minus 10x plus 1 minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 6. Okay, once you've done that, identify your like terms. Okay, I have negative 10x and 2x, and I have 1 and a negative 6. Other than that, none of those are like terms, so I'm still going to put it in standard form. Put my highest degree first, 8x cubed minus 4x squared. Can't do anything with those, so I'm just going to drag them along. Negative 10x plus 2x is negative 8x, and 1 minus 6 is minus 5. Okay, so adding and subtracting, pretty straightforward. We want to keep our like terms together, combine those, put our answer in standard form so we could identify this is a cubic polynomial with 4 terms. This is a quadratic trinomial, utilizing that good vocabulary. Multiplying, we want to keep in mind all of our exponent rules, particularly that when we multiply like bases, we add our exponents. We're really looking at how many factors of that variable do you have. Also, we are utilizing the distributive property. So whatever we are multiplying, we want to make sure we distribute everything to everything. So if I have a monomial times a binomial, I'm just taking this monomial and multiplying it by both terms in my binomial. Multiply coefficients times coefficients, variables times variables. So negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. X squared times x, that's a total of 3 factors of x, right? X times x times x. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. X squared times x to the third. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 factors of x. Okay. And then make sure you put your answer in standard form. So we're going to rewrite this as 10x to the fifth minus 8x to the third. We have a nice little quintic binomial. Okay, binomial times a binomial, I have to take both terms from my first and distribute them to both terms in the second. You could do it the opposite direction, it's totally fine, as long as you distribute everything to everything. So we have 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 2 is 6x. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Combine your like terms, and we get 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. Nice little quadratic trinomial there. And be really careful when you're squaring things that you remember what squaring means, right? I have a binomial times itself. You cannot distribute exponents over addition. They're not adjacent operations. So distribute everything to everything. You might remember there's also a pattern here that we end up with x times x, which is x squared, plus 6x plus 6x. I get two of those things. And then plus the last thing squared. So we're going to end up with x squared plus 12x plus 36. This is you end up with the first thing squared plus 2 of the things multiplied together plus the second thing squared. It's that perfect square trinomial. Okay, so we should end up with a perfect square trinomial here too. We can always just multiply everything to everything as well. 2a cubed times 2a cubed. 2 times 2 is 4. A cubed times a cubed is a to the sixth. 2a cubed times negative 3b is negative 6a cubed b. And then we have another one of those, negative 6a cubed b. And then negative 3b times negative 3b is positive 9b squared. Combine those middle terms because they're like terms. We get 4a to the sixth minus 12a to the third b plus 9b squared. It's still in this form here, right? We just have a minus there. This is still the first thing squared. 2a cubed squared is 4a to the sixth. 2 times 2a cubed times 3b is negative 12a cubed b. And 3b squared is 9b squared. Okay, this one might look familiar as well. This says the same terms in your binomial, but opposite signs. When we multiply these by each other, we end up with a cool thing that happens, that 4x times 4x, 16x squared. Then we're going to get minus 20x plus 20x. This will happen in all of these. These cancel out. And we end up with 16x squared minus 25. So the first thing squared minus the second thing squared. Hey, there's lots going on here. Don't forget your order of operations still work the same way they have. So we're going to start. Is there anything I can do inside here? If there's not, then we move outside and say, okay, this negative 7, make sure you bring the negative with, I have to distribute to everything in there. You can distribute multiplication over addition and subtraction. That's totally fine. So multiplication is going to come before addition and subtraction. So we get minus 21x plus 14x squared plus 5x. Once we've distributed, we've done our multiplication. Now we're going to look at addition and subtraction because that's our next most powerful thing. So we have like terms right there. I'm going to put my 14x squared first because that's my highest degree. Negative 21x plus 5x is going to be negative 16x. And then plus that 4. We end up with that quadratic trinomial there once we do all of our simplifying. Okay, so that is all I have for you for today. Thanks so much for watching.